Welcome to this episode of Horrific History and Hauntings. I'm Beth.
And I'm Rami, here to talk about the stories that the history books ignore.
From horrific epidemics and ghostly hauntings to the catastrophes and tragic events that have sickened humanity.
Yeah. What's today's tragedy in history, or whatever we call it?
Well, we're going to be doing an alphabet of death. I didn't take any notes for it today in history, but I can look at the website and tell you that it's not horrible. William Shakespeare was born in 1564, and the day we're recording is April 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen that as well.
Yeah, and then the King Brian of Ireland was murdered by Vikings. 1014. Oh, okay.
That's way back when.
I don't think I've ever seen
one that far back.
Yeah.
It's notable because it was a king.
No.
But the Shakespeare thing's cool.
Yeah.
He changed the way things were done.
And then President Ford in 1975 said that the war is finished for America, Vietnam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gerald R. Ford. There's an aircraft carrier class after him now, named after him. Gerald R. Ford. I believe that's named after him. How many more Fords are there?
I don't know.
A Henry.
Yeah,
there's a Henry.
Henry.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's named after him. Well, those are interesting enough.
There's a couple, but we'll just say those and go on. Because we're doing 3 episodes today, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the alphabet of death, what are we on?
We are on P and Q. P is for.
Parasites.
Yes, and
Pneumonia.
Perkins? No, Perkins is a restaurant. Parkinson's?
Parkinson's.
There we go.
Perkins? I was like, okay, I guess.
Oops.
Don't eat there. That's a joke. We have no complaints about Perkins.
Well, the one in Bristol is pretty slow. You'll die of old age before you get your food there. But other than that, it's fine.
I didn't know there was more than one.
I don't know. Is there?
I think there used to be one in the Bristol Mall, and now there's one in Exit 7, but that's the only ones I know of.
I don't know.
And the Bristol Mall is closed. It's a casino now, so I don't.
Yeah. They still have the little kids' paintings
on the walls in the casino?
Yeah.
Ain't that sweet?
They kept that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Until they tear it down to build a whole new casino.
Yeah. Poland syndrome is first what we're going to talk about.
Never heard of it.
It was discovered by Dr. A. Poland.
Oh, I was hoping it wasn't named after a country.
In London in 1841. It's a genetic condition where babies are born with joined or webbed fingers and toes.
That's deadly because they were witches in the day?
Yes, there was something about that in here.
I figured. I was like, that sounds harmless unless it's witchcraft claims.
Yeah.
The devil babies.
Like many birth defects in history, this physical difference was once seen as a sign of evil.
Yep, that's it.
In 1635 in Salem, Massachusetts, Margaret Cook was accused of witchcraft after giving birth to a child with abnormal hands.
It just makes them easier to get around in the water.
Yeah.
Makes it easier for them to get around in the water.
You don't blame the poisons that you all considered medicine as a problem. Mm-hmm. It's witchcraft, clearly. Children born with Poland syndrome today have support networks. However, insensitive peers can lead to increased risk of drug abuse and suicide among teenagers with this syndrome.
I think it was so cool having a friend of this, but not everybody's the same.
Yeah.
Apparently they can be little jerks.
Yeah. Francesco Lentini was born with an extra leg, almost like a tail that grew from the base of his spine. He felt like life played a cruel joke on him and was placed in a home for disabled children by his parents.
Yeah, I'm sure he was treated like the penguin.
But there he realized that others faced greater challenges because some of the other kids didn't have any legs at all.
And he was blessed of a third.
Yeah. He worked in sideshows and eventually he passed away in 1966 from heart disease at the age of 78.
Well, I feel bad for anybody who's in a hard spot just because of the people around them who treat them badly, even if it doesn't affect their disability doesn't affect their life in a terrible way, except for the way people treat them. What you need to do
is take your webbed hand and give them a good smack.
Your webbed hand.
Grady Stiles was known as the Lobster Man. He was born in 1932 with his fingers and toes fused together, which made his hands and feet appear like lobster claws.
They made him into a character in American Horror Story, didn't they?
Yes, they did. And they weren't exactly wrong about him in that.
I didn't finish.
Not the lobster boy, but the father.
Yeah. I didn't finish watching that. I didn't care for that arc, so I didn't finish.
Oh. The genetic oddity had passed through his family for at least 5 generations.
Wow.
Despite this, he and his wife continue to have children, all of whom were born with a lobster-like condition.
That's a really strong gene.
Yeah. The family altogether traveled to county fairs and carnivals, showcasing their unique condition in sideshows. This is just kind of an alleged said thing. I don't know if it's true or not, but it said allegedly the children born without clubbed hands and feet were reportedly disposed of at birth.
I'd say that's just a rumor.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's probably a rumor, but I figured it was nice to note.
They might have, but I don't believe anything without evidence.
Yeah. The lobster man was an alcoholic, and he also had problems with domestic violence.
Uh-oh.
He was a wife beater. He also faced the electric chair once after killing his daughter's boyfriend, who was trying to take her away from the family business.
He seemed a little rough.
Yeah.
Around the edges there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a great thing to do.
Yeah.
Considering he got away with a lot, being the way he was.
Yeah.
Usually there would any reason at all to treat someone like this differently.
Yeah.
And he gave them a reason to do so. That's a risky thing.
Yeah.
Back in the 20s or whenever.
Yeah, it was the 20s because in 1922, well, I guess it was before the 20s because in 1922, his wife hired a hitman and the lobster man was discovered executed with 3 gunshot wounds to the head.
This is
Guess
wild.
you hit the wrong woman for the last time. Since 1970, there have been 6,587 deaths related to Poland's syndrome.
All because of people just treating them poorly.
Yeah. Next up is prostitution. You're supposed to say sex workers, but the book was old, so before that was a thing.
I don't know how this is.
It's a job.
I think prostitution is the name of the job.
Yeah,
but
it's a
you
job.
could be a sex worker. I don't know. I have no ground on this. I'm just saying I was raised with. There's sections of Europe that is called the red light or prostitution district. I don't know how it can be considered an insult, is what I'm saying. I mean, it's up to them to feel how they want about it. That's not my decision. I'm just saying, I don't understand.
Well, since we're in the P's, I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but we're going to be using the prostitution word because that was what was in the book. Prostitution is often considered the oldest profession.
Yeah.
It's also one of the most dangerous jobs.
Especially before antibiotics.
Prostitutes represented 40% of all deaths from botched abortions and 50% of the documented syphilis in 1900.
Oh, syphilis. Yeah. Another one of those episodes of Sawbones y'all should look up.
I don't think I've heard the syphilis one.
And maybe it's in the mercury cures because they did try to fix that with mercury, I do believe.
Oh, how'd that go?
Large needles in places you didn't want them.
A study from 1998 showed that prostitutes face more mental health problems from physical danger than soldiers in combat.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they feel like nobody's going to miss them or they're going to be harder to miss. Nobody's going to care because of their job. So they're more likely to be victims of crazy people that are like, you know what, I should do some killing today. Or, something like that, which is not good.
There was a while around here, truck drivers would pick them up and at least one murdered them and dropped them off on the side of the road.
Yeah, not far from here.
I think Top Gear even made a reference to it in one of their older episodes about lorry drivers.
It's one of those, like I said, I'm assuming the killer doesn't think that
it matters because
it matters. Yeah. And then there's also some cases that you hear about and people think, well, they had it coming. Not really. You got to do what you got to do. They still don't deserve to be murdered.
A lot of the older, there's been, Jack the Ripper did it. And a lot of older cases in America weren't even looked into because they were considered beneath the, police's dignity to even bother.
Yeah, it's really sad.
And I don't mean no offense when I said prostitute. I think it's an elegant word, not a bad word. But like I said, I'm not one, so I shouldn't be deciding.
Yeah. In 2004, 200,000 women aged 26 to 39 were arrested for prostitution in the United States. Each year, approximately 50,000 women and young girls are trafficked into the U.S. to work as sex workers from regions such as Latin America, Southeast Asia, and the former Soviet Union.
Mail order brides is what the Soviet Union's got that reputation for.
Yeah.
I don't know if anything, I guess it's real since people know about it and it's mentioned here, but it's just a bad thing it's done.
Considering the book is older, that's probably maybe more or less. I don't know, but
some politicians make it a career to mitigate this problem. as best they can.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what kind of area you're in if it has to become a thing, because around here it isn't really a thing. Our section of Appalachia, I don't think we see many Soviet Soviet sex workers being forced into their situation. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I'm not in that scene.
I was gonna say I don't think we would know because we don't really.
Just finding someone of a Russian accent is rare, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, but I mean, we can't. But we barely even come out of the house, so we ain't gonna find nobody.
No. My uncle was a truck driver, and he would take me to places where you would find sex workers frequently. Not that he would drive me through them hunting for people he knew. He was the one who knew about them, not me. And I was riding with him, and he would say he would just tell me about people or who people were. That's not the closest I ever got to that whole thing. Which is probably a lot closer than some people, I guess.
When Mom, his sister,
went with
him, there was one trying to fight her.
To be fair, they were very friendly towards her uncle. He had one that brought him money when he said he was too broke to even buy food that night, which is a sign that he was a regular.
Yeah.
He said, I haven't got enough money to even buy a meal tonight, and she brought him money.
Aww.
So they're people.
Yeah.
It's just people who's making a living, and they have kind hearts and are doing what they have to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you just want to do it for fun,
so
if that's a job of choice for you, not the only last resort, so be it.
I watched a show a long time ago, and I think it was right outside, not in Las Vegas, but right outside of Las Vegas somewhere. It's actually legal if there's like companies and you have to get tested
it's
regularly.
It's illegal in the city, but right outside the city, there's areas where it's legal.
Yeah,
so,
but it's like kind of like a company type thing. You have to get tested regularly. There's paperwork, paper trails, things like that to try to make it a little more safe.
One of our friends looked into this, and one of them offers 3 hand baths before the act is done, which is their way of
making sure you're clean.
Making sure you're clean.
Yeah. Well, that's nice.
They have websites. If you ever want to go up and look at the, I don't know, the people.
I can't afford them. I'm sorry.
I just think it should be legalized because I don't know why it's illegal unless it's a moral thing.
I think it's partially that too, but I think it's also because of disease getting spread easily.
Now that could be mitigated a lot better now than it was when these laws were created.
But that's the thing about the legal thing outside of Las Vegas. I think it made it, people are going to do it if they need to do it no matter what. So I think the legal part of it where they had that company in that show, I'm going to call it a company. I don't know what it really is, but it was kind of like a company anyway. So, and they, like I said, it made it a little more safer. There was paper trails, there was testing, there was protection, things like that. I think if they made it legal but had that type of thing, it would at least make it a little more safe.
Yeah. Well, one of our distant cousins, when Mom was younger, she was close to these cousins, and they ran a what do you call them, a den of inequities? They ran I don't know what the word is. I know the word I want to use, but I know it's not the right I know it's not the right one. A brothel?
Yeah.
We'll use that one. They ran a brothel, a legal brothel, and Mom would go visit and always wondering why there were so many men and women in and out of there. But and then when they found out that he had been arrested for running a brothel, I guess that stopped. But
yeah,
I don't know how that all went down. I need to.
We
she
also
don't know
had
as much.
A woman one.
Yeah, on my mother's side, our grandmother's side,
and she apparently did very well.
Was she a madam in Washington? Wasn't she?
Yeah, she did very well from what they said.
I think as long as it's consensual, it's fine.
Yeah.
This is another one of those things that should be approached differently now that we're in a newer age and better medicine and regulations could be.
Yeah.
And I think it would help put an end to the illegal ones.
Yeah.
That are forcing people to. Now, I don't know. It might be a whole big deal of the ones that are legal might be full of forced laborers. I don't know.
Yeah. It's one of those, we don't have enough information.
No, I would like to know more just because it's been around forever. It probably won't ever go away. And something needs to be looked into about making it safer. Mm-hmm. Simple as that.
Moving on to Q.
You mean the nigh godlike character in Star Trek?
I don't watch Star Trek.
Oh, well, I guess that's why you don't know nothing.
Q is for.
Q is for. Oh, Q. I forgot we was playing. Q is for Q. Yes, he can just blip you out of existence.
Okay. Q is for
QAnon. You become a conspiracy theorist and end up getting poisoned by some sort of chemical you've been told to drink or something?
Sure. I have no clue for the word or the letter Q, unless I want to use the ones that I did, but that's cheating. So we're going to talk about Q fever.
I never heard of it.
It was once called query fever due to its mysterious cause.
Quinine? Is that deadly?
Is that spelled with a Q? I don't know.
I don't know.
Isn't that twinine?
No, I think there's a lot of nines. Go on. Tell us about Q fever.
I don't know. It's a disease caused by bacteria.
Oh, that's vague.
It's now known that it's transmitted to humans by sheep.
Sheep.
Sorry, sheep.
Sheep.
Well, I was looking at sheep and goats at the same time.
I like sheeps.
No, sheep, goats, and other herd animals. Sheep can host the bacterium without being affected by it, and it's common globally. However, when humans are exposed to it, it can cause illness. To catch this bacterium from sheep, people have to be very close in contact with these animals.
Okay. Like nasty?
Uh-huh.
You nasty.
The most direct way to get Q fever is through intimate contact with them.
That's putting it the nice way.
Yeah. Although only 2% of infected individuals have confessed to such behavior, scientists suspect that the actual number of people engaging in sexual activity with the poor sheep is likely higher.
We've seen this in Fallout, but it wasn't sheep.
Yeah. Should have shot the man. Definitely.
He's a quack doctor. I guess Q could be for quack doctors. They've killed plenty of people.
I think that's actually in here.
Oh.
If I'm not mistaken.
That's my sawbones coming out.
Accurate records are difficult to maintain because doctors are not mandated to report this disease or its mode of transmission, which I think we should change that. We should change that to where it is required.
I would agree.
To be reported.
Can it pass from person to person afterwards?
I'm not sure.
It makes sense it would.
I feel like it would.
That might be a reason to report it.
Yeah.
If not for the animal's sake.
Yeah. Some reports suggest that Q fever can be caught from dust in barns contaminated with materials from sheep births and feces.
Poor Jeremy Clarkson.
Early symptoms, which are often overlooked, include chills, sweats, dry cough, and nausea.
And then you have to admit to it. That right there is nauseating. Otherwise, no, I'm sure I got it from dust. Wink, wink, wink. I work in a very dusty sheep barn.
Yeah. Extended and close contact with sheep can lead to more severe and potentially life-threatening conditions such as hepatitis and endocarditis.
That's right.
It's a heart valve disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Chronic wasting disease is a more severe condition contracted from wild animals.
I thought that was just a general term for a disease that makes you waste, and there's no fixing it.
I don't know.
Like consumption. It's just like I'm wasting away slowly. And it's chronic because there wasn't no fixing it for so long.
It's typically affects individuals who have extremely close contact with elk, bison, and deer.
Well, that won't be me.
Yeah. In many ways, chronic waste disease is similar to mad cow disease.
Terrifying. That terrified me.
Yes.
I wouldn't even get near leather.
In 2002, 3 Wisconsin hunters reportedly aiming to hunt a buck developed a brain disease resembling Hold on.
Encephalitis? I don't know what it's called. What are you talking about?
Encephalitis.
That's itis.
Yes.
The first part, I'm not sure.
Encephalitis, maybe?
That's it. You got it.
It's only transmitted by a doe, and since the hunters hadn't gutted the deer or consumed its meat, which are the usual ways that the disease is transmitted to humans, officials were puzzled by the strange coincidence that all 3 hunters contracted the disease.
Oh, no.
Sadly, the brains of the 3 hunters deteriorated into a soft mass before they could provide researchers with the interesting, I'm sure, insight into the exact method of transmission.
All 3 of them? Wow. When did this happen?
That was in 2002. Of those who contract Q fever from sheep through unconventional methods, 65% eventually succumb to the disease. Since 1995, as of when the book was published, there have been 2,302 deaths.
I'm sure they're not all contracted the same way.
Yep. Next is quacks.
The doctors.
Yes, quacks. While becoming a doctor is challenging, some people bypass formal training and choose to purchase credentials online.
And then you get people like, they'll try to feed you random flower petals or bleach.
This Tide Pod will do you some good.
I think it was just a meme, not even medicine.
Yeah, it was a challenge.
Also, an episode of Sawbones about that.
Yeah.
They said, I can't believe we actually have to make this episode, but here we go.
My, how times have changed. Oh. At the time the book was published, there were at least 10,000 unlicensed doctors in the U.S. Another 1,781 licensed doctors lost their privileges to practice in 2004, but they still managed to find ways to remain in the medical field.
I bet that is
terrifying.
Went up quite a lot since COVID.
Probably. Yeah, because didn't some of them get fired for not getting a vaccine?
Not just that, they encourage people to take so many bad things sometimes, depending on who they are and who they were listening to.
Mm. Despite having his medical license suspended in 1984, Roland Brown continued to perform surgeries. He conducted amputations for individuals with a fetish for limb removal.
That's a little much.
Yeah.
I bet they really liked Freak Show.
He charged $10,000 for the procedure.
I don't know what the going rate is for...
I didn't even know that was a fetish. So...
Yeah, they covered it. I think they covered it in American Horror Story Freak Show.
See, I remember that scene when I read that, but I didn't really... At the time I watched it, I didn't think about it being a fetish. I didn't realize that's... But okay. What... I would say whatever floats your boat, but this you probably shouldn't.
It is harming yourself.
Yes, or someone else.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe not. A healthy man who underwent a leg amputation by Brown later died from gangrene, and Brown was arrested in 2002 and charged with murder.
I don't think it was murder, but that's, I guess, how they do the book at him, technically.
Yeah, technically...
Manslaughter.
Involuntary, maybe?
But it was voluntary.
But the man... I don't know how you would do that in the courtroom.
They just threw the book at the dude.
Yeah.
To get him off the streets.
Well, I mean, that's good, because you shouldn't be removing people's limbs that don't need to be removed.
I'm pretty sure there was a lady who had her eyes surgically blinded somewhere. It might have been in the UK. I might be wrong.
I remember seeing so. She willingly wanted, she's like, I identify as a blind person. I'm meant to be a blind person or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember much about it, but
yeah.
it isn't unheard of.
You need a special kind of hospital is what you need.
I'm pretty sure they made her go to a few before they realized it just wasn't going to change. I might be completely wrong. I've read or seen this somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. There are over 13,891 deaths attributed to unlicensed doctors.
I would like to see that now.
Since 1970. And yes, because as mentioned many times before, the book is a little bit older, so that's probably changed, especially as you said, after COVID.
Yeah.
Horace Wells was the first doctor to use anesthesia in the 1840s. This is another reason to join the 4B movement. After he was arrested for misconduct with 2 sedated female patients, he ended his own life by inhaling chloroform. He was the first one to use
anesthesia. Yeah. And the first thing he done with it was...
Yeah. That's exactly what he had in mind when he did this.
Yeah. He's like, in the first place. This is wonderful. Look what I can do now.
So...
I don't even know if he's considered a quack.
Went bad?
I think he was bad.
He was originally bad.
Maybe he would...
I feel like he come up with this for that exact reason.
I don't know enough about the guy to guess, but I know how it turned out wasn't great. Well, anything else to talk about?
No.
Oh. Well, okay.
I told you it was going to be short. I've been...
No, I don't care. I just wanted to make
Fallout, and I had to get it done quick.
Oh, okay. Well, if you like what you heard here, we are part of the Gruesome Gaming Group podcast network. We have a link in the description. It's a link tree link, so it'll show you a whole other links to click on after you click on it. The first one on that list will be our website for the Gruesome Gaming Group. It'll show all of our podcasts like Brother Knows Quest. It's a podcast where I tell Beth here about different tabletop role-playing games each week. And then we have Leveling Duo. It's where we talk about video games that we really enjoy. It don't come out as often. Basically, whenever we play a new video game we really like. Beth's talking about Fallout 3 because she just now got into it after watching the Fallout TV series. And then we have, this podcast. And you'll be able to find samples there, listen to them, or little links from there that will let you subscribe to whatever choice or podcast app of choice. And then you have all of our social links, our Twitters, our TikToks, all that. You can reach out to us through those. Let us know what you think. Say hi. Anything you like. And then below the Linktree link will be emails. You can email us. The Gruesome Gaming Group one will go to me, or the Horrific History and Haunting one will go to Beth. But it don't matter who you message. If you want it to get to someone else, just address it to them using whichever email you want, and then we'll know from there. Feel free to say hi. Well, like I said, whatever you want to say, let it be known. We appreciate all the contact. And there'll be an option below all those to send a little donation if you want to help keep the podcast hosted and all that. It comes in handy. All right. Well, thank you for listening. I've been Ramey.
And I'm Beth.
And this has been HH&H. Bye-bye.